Andrew controls the Sarah's Blessing and attacks with his Vedalken Engineer. Noah declares no blockers. Can Andrew use the ninjutsu ability of the Covert technician in his hand by returning the engineer to his hand but also tapping it for mana to pay for it? What if Andrew had a Steel Swarm operator instead? Alright, first off, is tapping the same creature for mana that you intend to return to the hand for ninjutsu an issue? Well, usually you obviously cannot do that because the attacking creature will be tapped, but in this case it has Vigilance. Well, the process for activating abilities is almost the same as the one for casting spells, and the step where you activate mana abilities happens before the step where you actually pay the cost. So you would first tap the engineer for mana and then return it to the hand and pay the mana cost. There's also no reason to think that an untapped attacking creature becoming tapped would remove it from combat or cause it to be considered blocked somehow. So that part of Andrew's plan would work fine. However, can mana from Vedalken Engineer even be used to pay for the ninjutsu? Well, ninjutsu is an activated ability, not an alternative casting cost, so it's not casting an artifact spell. But Covert Technician is an artifact, and the engineer allows the mana to be used for activated abilities of artifacts, so it should be fine, right? Well, unfortunately, it is not. While Covert Technician is indeed an artifact, it is also in your hand, which means it is a card. This is a problem because when an ability refers to an object by its card type, and neither clarifies what zone that object is in, nor uses the words card or spell, that ability refers to a permanent on the battlefield. Since Covert Technician is not a permanent on the battlefield at the time its ability is activated, paying for ninjutsu with mana produced by Vedalken Engineer's ability is not legal. This rule might seem kind of counterintuitive in this scenario, but overall it makes sense. Take a look at Unsummoned, for example. It doesn't clarify permanent or on the battlefield either, but I don't think anyone would argue that you should be able to use it to return a creature card from the graveyard to your hand. However, what if Andrew had a Steel Swarm operator instead? Now you might think the same situation as earlier applies here. That because Covert Technician is not a permanent on the battlefield, it shouldn't work. Well, if you look at the operator's ability, you might notice that it's worded slightly different. It looks for an artifact source. Well, it turns out that if an ability refers to a source, it is an exception to the rule from earlier and will be able to identify objects of that specified type in any zone, not just the battlefield. Therefore, since the ninjutsu ability has an artifact source, mana from Steel Swarm Operator's second ability would be able to be used to pay for it.